Hey, bud, where's your Frisbee at? All right, ready? Ready? Hey, hey. Good boy. Bring it back. That boy. That boy. Good job. Hey, guys, so if my dog will let me, he wants to play fetch really bad. All right, one more time. Okay, no? Okay. So today I thought I'd kind of go over some of the things that I found to be very useful on the homestead since I've started to do this in a more serious aspect. Whether you are just looking to become more self-sufficient, or you are, possibly you already have like a homestead or a small farm and you're trying to grow a lot of your own stuff, you're trying to save money, and you're trying to get a little bit more simple life, if you will, or if you're living in an apartment and that's like a dream that you have, here are some things that I think would help you that you can learn now, whether it be through books, going to a friend's house, watching on YouTube, you could sign up for classes, or even better, volunteering. So maybe it would be like free rather than, paying to go to a class or something. But if you have to go to a class, like, there is worse things that you can spend your money on for sure. Which actually that's going to roll into kind of my first thing. And I'm not going to go very in depth on this because I'm certainly by no means an expert, but try to get yourself out of bad debt. When I talk about bad debt, I'm talking about credit card debt with high interest rates. I don't think a mortgage is a bad idea. When you're talking about like our mortgage is around 3%, right? And I know they've gone up since then, but we got lucky. We got ours at 3% and we still owe money on it, right? We haven't paid it off. I don't really follow the Dave Ramsey thing because the math, to me, doesn't math. And I see where he's going, and I think it's good. And I think he's helped a lot of people for sure. And I listened to him for many years. But one I've been listening to lately called the Rich Habits Podcast. They do a really good job of explaining things, and in a mathematical standpoint, kind of a common sense approach. They have a lot of good tips, and they've helped me immensely in kind of just understanding investing and all that, and like what is good debt, what's bad debt. But like I said, I'm not an expert, so I don't want to go too in depth on this, but I really think that being able to pay off that debt like that, it just gives you more freedom, and it's a lot less stress. Because if you come into homesteading in a bunch of debt, or if you try to be more self-sufficient in a bunch of debt, you're going to find that it's just going to kind of snowball. And you can definitely save money by being self-sufficient, but the initial cost of land and things like that. So if you're say you don't have any land and you're just kind of like trying to save for it, the best thing you can do is try to get out of those high interest debts first, and get your financial assets, because it's just going to make everything go way smoother. And just remember, there's really no get rich quick schemes. Don't fall for scams and all that. So I'm not going to harp on that anymore because it's not really my forte. But do your own research, and getting out of debt, it's never a bad thing, really, honestly. I'm in the process in the kitchen today making some pork chops, butterfly chops, out of a pig that we butchered ourselves. So if I can tell you one skill that has helped me significantly save money on this homestead, that's being able to butcher my own game. Everywhere from chickens to venison, hogs. Not having to pay a butcher saves us so much money in the end. And you know exactly how it was done, you know how the meat was cared for, and how it was stored. And so it puts you in control of that. So the second thing that's helped me immensely is I grew up in a family that hunted. And we never went to the butcher. Like, I know a lot of guys hunt, but then they'll drop it off at the butcher. I was grossed out just like anybody when they see, entrails coming out of an animal and stuff. So it's not a pleasant thing. But if you are going to consciously eat meat, I really believe, you shouldn't just sort of block that out. If you're going to eat meat, I really think the best way to do it, and this is just my opinion, and if you don't want to see it or know about it and you still want to eat meat, I don't judge you one bit. But I just feel a lot better if I know how that animal was killed, if it was a quick and as painless as possible death, and that the meat was well taken care of. It was field dressed very promptly. It was kept as cool as possible, and was not hung out in the sun or something. And I like to be able to know that my meat that I eat, it was butchered humanely. Having the skills to be able to do that, it's not as hard as a lot of people think. A lot of people get it up in their heads that it's impossible, and it is hard work. but it is not hard to do. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make perfect butcher cuts. I have been doing it for 30 something years, and I still don't consider myself being able to cut it like a quality butcher would be able to cut it. But it's all edible, and I use everything from the deer that I possibly can, and you know, including bones and cartilage, and you know, even so far as I use the white skin, you know, for using for different you know, crafts and things like that. I always tan the hides. And, you know, being able to have that knowledge, it's just, you know, I remember the only time that I've ever taken a deer to the butcher, I'd hurt my back and I had to go to work, and my son got a deer and I got a deer at the same time. So I had 2 to do, and I just thought it was going to be too much. So I went ahead and I took it and I delivered it, you know, to the locker to get butchered for me. And I thought, man, you know, that was pretty easy. You know, I just drop it off and I'm good to go. I asked him to cape it was my son's biggest buck he'd ever got, and I asked him to cape it for me, and you know, not to destroy the hide and stuff, so that I could have it, you know, taken to a taxidermist. And they ended up just cutting it off like they would any normal deer or whatever. So what happened is, you know, I wasn't able to. I could have got another tan hide from another deer and all that stuff, but I didn't end up doing that, and it was frustrating, but it wasn't really that big a deal. We still got the rack back, the correct rack, and we could make a nice European mount out of it, which is what I did. And so it wasn't a big deal, but it just was kind of like a bitter taste in my mouth the first time that I ever go to a butcher and they do that. And the meat was great. You know, it was really well packaged, labeled, and all that stuff. The only complaint that I have is the price. When I got the price tag, I immediately remembered that is why my father has never taken anything to the butcher when he kills it. That's why we learn these skills. And I feel completely comfortable butchering. I butcher multiple deer per year. Even when COVID hit, we had a farmer that was getting rid of pigs, and he was giving them away for free. And so we took several pigs, and there was no butcher that you could not go to a butcher during that time. They were completely full or shut down or whatever, I don't know. But there was nowhere you could get that butchered. And so a lot of people were like not wanting these pigs, right? And so we got a whole bunch of pork for free. It took us years to eat it all. We gave it away. We did cookouts. And it was all because, you know, me and my brother knew how to butcher well enough that, you know, we butchered it like a deer, which is, I know now, not the exact way that they mostly do it, but we still were confident enough because we'd been doing it for so long and butchered so many other things that we were able to butcher the pigs. And so we got a lot of meat for free just because, you know, nobody else around here was comfortable doing that, and they ended up having to just give the hogs away. Now that was a weird special circumstance, but if you're going to hunt a deer, it's the most popular game animal in the United States anyway, so I just use that as kind of a reference. But if you're going to, you know, hunt and try to procure your meat yourself, you save a lot of money until you take it to the butcher. If you can manage to learn and butcher things yourself, you're going to save an enormous amount of money, and it's actually going to be a savings rather than, you know, if you take it to a butcher, well, you're paying pretty well what you might pay in a grocery store for meat, especially when you look at time and all that stuff. And it doesn't require a lot of gear. So I guess there's kind of 2 points in that one, you know. Hunting and butchering is a skill that you can learn now. Stephen Ranella of Meat Eater has an excellent video. Bearded Butchers also puts out an excellent video, and they completely break down the entire process of whitetail deer and other animals. And I'm sure there's a lot of others out there, but I encourage you to start learning that process now. If you know someone who hunts and you're interested in that, I suggest going with them. You don't necessarily even have to hunt. If you don't have a gun or anything like that, just go with them. You'll learn a lot by doing that, and it is fun. I know a lot of people say, oh, I only hunt because I want the meat, but I mean, to be honest with you, I really truly enjoy being out in the woods, seeing all the other wildlife, and then bringing home meat is just a huge bonus. It keeps you in shape too as well, so this is another good thing. So learning how to butcher your own meat, how to hunt your own meat. Even if you don't hunt, you're going to have to butcher your meat at some point if you choose to eat meat on a homestead, unless you take it to a butcher. And then all your savings that you did a for raising that livestock yourself go out the window. So just keep that in mind. It's not for everybody. I encourage you, if you're interested in it, to try to learn it as soon as possible. And it's a skill that has saved me countless money. I mean, thousands of dollars. So that brings me to the next one. And so that is preserving your food. So gardening is pretty fun, and it's pretty, I mean, there's so much out there to garden and like learn how to garden and stuff. And a lot of people have a pretty good idea how to do it anyway, and it's a learning curve. But what I quickly realized, because we grew up with a garden, but we never canned anything. You know, it was just like, once it's gone, it's gone. We never worried about, you know, trying to save it for the winter. And as trying to become more self-sufficient, I don't want to buy my, you know, I've got a taste for the garden grown stuff now, and I just really don't want to buy the canned goods and stuff at the store. And so canning and preserving is something that I've had to learn. And so it's also something that you can do in an apartment, and you can learn it right now. So no matter where you are in your journey, you can go, if you get a good deal on, you go to a farm stand or something and they're selling out of tomatoes, they're trying to get rid of them, you get a whole bunch of tomatoes, you make your own pasta sauce. That's something you can do now, and just kind of get the equipment, get familiar with how to do it, the process, get good recipes, but make sure you get good recipes. And I know a lot of people are scared. You know, botulism is a pretty scary thing. So go buy a tried and true recipe. Don't be making your own stuff up. But that's something that, just processing food in general, not necessarily talking about canning, but just canning and freezing and blanching. And there's so much to it, because there's just so many different vegetables and there's so many little caveats and stuff, you know. Certain things have the amount of acidity. There really is truly a science for it. And I have so much respect for the people that have, you know, our old timers, and the ones that came before us, trying to figure all this out, and what you can do and what you can't do without our modern understanding of science is truly remarkable what they came up with, right? And also preserving meat. So, you know, you can freeze meat. Obviously, we live in a modern age. We have a freezer and refrigerator, and we can freeze all that meat. But also, it's kind of nice to be able to make things like jerky that last a really long time, and that you can take with you, and that are shelf stable. And you know, I pretty much live off of deer jerky during deer season, because, you know, it's easy to throw in your pack. I can leave it in my pack. If I go hunting the night, I throw in some jerky, and then, you know, get up the next morning, that jerky's still good and still eat it. It's just nice to be able to preserve your meat like that and have it as a very freaking protein-rich, awesome snack. And honestly, we cannot get enough jerky in this house. I can't make it fast enough. So food preservation, you know, learn it now, read about it, get books on it, watch YouTube videos, Google it, you know, research it, try it at home. You can try it at home in your own apartment. You know, if you have a tiny kitchen, no big deal. I've done it in, you know, outside before. So something that you can start right now and figure out, so that when you get to the point where you're doing it and you're trying to make enough for your fall and your winter, to get through there from your harvest, now you have a good idea of how to do that, and you're not just starting from scratch, right? It's a lot. If you know, say you buy land or something, you come from like an apartment, and this is a dream you've always had, you finally got enough money, and then you're sitting in there and you're like, okay, now I gotta start all this, and it's like overwhelming. So anyway, those are some things that you can do now to get you closer to your self-sufficient journey, to your homesteading journey, to having a small farm and being self-sufficient, or whatever your goals are. So a lot of the products that I use for canning, hunting, and meat processing, I'm going to put a link down in the description. Not that you need any of those. They are quality products that I have used and that have worked for me. So they may be of interest to you if you're starting on this journey and you're kind of trying to figure out, you know, like, what do I even need? That will kind of give you some ideas anyway. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and good luck to you.